Welcome, gentle runners out in listener land. Another episode of Mr. Rubio Used to Run, the Running Warehouse podcast. My associate, Connor Blaylock. I'm Joe Rubio, and I believe we're on number 35.
Somewhere around there.
Somewhere around, yes.
We've lost maybe an episode or two, but
yeah,
we're back on track.
Yeah, hopefully we're back on track. We can't lose any more of these things because it's really interesting stuff that just you and I get to hear.
Yeah.
Anyways, what's been going on? Anything exciting?
Well, I mean, the running world right now is just going crazy. When we look at trails, track, roads, we're seeing records, nonstop record attempts, some world records as well. Mm-hmm. And it's just a fun time to be a runner right now.
It is. And for those who are wondering what we're going to talk about, it's going to be very heavily track and field focused.
Yeah.
So if that's not your bag, probably
Leave
get out.
now.
Probably get out right now. And we're going to jump right on it with Faith's attempt at a sub 4-minute mile, the first one for a woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if we look back a few years ago, I don't think anyone would have ever thought a woman would be in the chasing for a sub 4, but Faith has been throwing down some pretty legit times, and I think we started to all think, is this possible? You know, it's definitely we thought Nike might have some tricks up their sleeve, but what were your thoughts?
Well, the biggest trick was basing it almost entirely on wind resistance.
Yeah.
So putting wind blocks up, the Paris Stadium was chosen because it had the most amount of, or the least amount of wind, and things like that. What I thought was, on an excellent day with everything right, she could run 4:04. Yeah. 4 minutes is an extreme. It's a big jump from 4:06, 4:07. It's just really big.
Yeah, and it was a great story. You know, Nike was coming together to try to do things that had never been done. A lot of people started watching this event, and I think when we look at some of the people that we've trained in over the years, 4:07, every second from there is a pretty big leap. And I honestly thought Nike was going to have some more tricks up their sleeve, because
like in the footwear department.
In the footwear department, I mean, even when we look at what Kipchoge did years ago with wind, they had those Tesla cars with big signs for wind blocking. I thought there would be a little bit more for wind blocking. Yes, the Pacers help, but I don't think the Pacers were going to do enough to take off 7 seconds.
No, the other thing too is it usually, generally speaking, it takes athletes about 5 to 7 1,500 miles or 800s to run their best. Yeah. And you don't generally run that fast on your first attempt. So if it was me organizing it, I would have done it probably 7 to 10, maybe 14 days after the World Championships. Right. When she's in peak fitness, all eyes are on her at Tokyo.
Totally.
Then in 1 week's time, check back in, because she's going to go after the sub 4-minute mile.
Right.
And that's going to be your best chance of doing it. We're months away from her peak fitness.
Yeah, honestly, if she had ran sub 4, I would have been a little worried about how she was going to perform
at the Worlds.
Right. So definitely not ideal. But again, it was built to, generate hype, generate excitement, and it got a lot of people talking. The other thing that I noticed on this, because we talked shoes, I thought that they would do something a little crazier in the shoe department. Her spikes, from what I've heard, were very, very light. They're a new spike that I don't think are technically World Athletics legal yet, but they most likely will be down the road. I think it's just because it's early prototype stage. But I thought that they would maybe go a little bit higher, do something a little more wild.
Well, the whole event is illegal anyways.
Right.
So people are talking about, she ran into the start. Well, who cares? I mean, it's a fake event anyway. She has male pacers and all that. So give her some cheater shoes. Yeah. Like, do it all in. Well, a 50 mil stack spike.
Might as well. And I think that is a good point with the moving time versus gun time. And that confused me a little bit, because when she crossed the line, we had our social media post already stating 4:06.91. That was what she crossed in. But it later got revised about a half second faster, and what we found out was it was going off of her moving, like almost like a chip time. So she got a little bit of that moving acceleration. Still technically a mile, but it's not what you go by if it was an actual legit race.
But it's not a legit race.
Right.
And so just go all out and, give her every advantage there is possible. That's just me.
One other thing I got to note, because, again, there were so many little things, and the funny part that I thought was in the build up to this, they were really building up the apparel and the aerodynamics of the apparel. And I get Nike's, they're trying to sell gear, but the apparel is probably the smallest percentage of return that you could have got. I mean, when we look at what Kipchoge ran his sub-2 in, he had a baggy singlet.
Yeah.
The apparel is going to be very, very minor.
And it's not like a swimsuit.
No.
Where the drag is significant.
Yeah.
And if you have a swimsuit that can decrease drag, that's a big deal. But you don't have that much drag on the body.
Right.
Direct. Anyways.
I thought it was funny, though. That was
the big thing.
Story.
And whatever. Yeah. But anyways, it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
I had a great time. And I'm looking forward to see maybe they'll do it again. Maybe they can keep cranking down. I think you're right. 403, 404, I think is within reach on a perfect day.
On a perfect day. Exactly. Even without the cheater shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that wasn't the only record.
No, we had one locally, a successful mile attempt at a world record. One of our training buddies, Silas Franz, and his son Otto, who's all of maybe 8 weeks old, tackled the Everest of the track world, this baby stroller mile.
Probably the most sought after track event.
One of them. And I believe the old record was 441.
441. Technically, the fastest stroller mile ever ran was a 432. That was on the roads and slightly downhill. But
Silas ran 426.
Yes.
Which was pretty cool. We talked beforehand because I give him workouts and things like that. And I actually suggested he run positive splits.
Yeah.
Which is, for those that don't know, you run each lap slightly slower. With the idea being, if you crash with that baby in the stroller, bad things are going to happen. And what happens is when you get tired, you lose your hand-eye coordination, or it diminishes. So you're bound to make more mistakes. So if you slow up, you saw him at the end. He was really fresh. He could run faster.
Yeah.
But the number one thing is not harming the child.
Well, it's funny because I got there early. I was documenting the whole thing, and I interviewed him before, and I said, are you worried about getting this record? What's your concerns? He says, I got the record in the bag. He's like, my concern is keeping the kid safe, because he realized how fast he was moving. And because of that, they actually made this a special event. No other athletes were on the track to make sure there was no collision.
There's no collisions. And the other thing, too, is the workouts leading up to it, he was running some stuff like 230 with the child in the stroller.
Wow.
And he did a 800, I think, the Saturday before, something like that. I was cleaning the track sheet, so I didn't see it. He just told me he ran 215.
Right.
On the, so that was pretty fun. But anyways, I was at the 200 meter mark, giving 200 meter splits, and I didn't realize that he had broken the 1,000 meter baby stroller record. I had it on my watch, but of course I erased it because I didn't know there was such a thing until afterwards.
Yeah.
I think I broke the 1,000 meter baby stroller record.
Wow.
I go, I think you did, but I erased it, so I don't know what it is. So we lost all record of that.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and I just want to say too, for that, so like you said, you gave him the plan to go out a little bit faster. He went out in 65, and then I believe he went just a little bit, like 66, 67, 68, and he ran 426. And he said he was really, really feeling it at the end. And the thing he didn't really realize was how much you use your arms when you're running. And when you have to have a hand up on the stroller, it really does hit you, and you're breathing about 800,000 meters in.
Well, you're also not used to running with one hand or one arm.
Right.
It's like static.
Right.
And it's a whole different thing. But anyways, he got the world record.
Yeah.
And he had a good season. He ran 28:09, which was about 50 some odd second PR in the 10K.
Yeah.
So, good season.
A lot of fast runners here in slow right now.
Yeah, exactly. And our crew, not you or I, but Becky and Eric, two of our buyers, went to Western States.
Yes, and I've done Western States several years. It's a fantastic race. You always talk about UTMB really being that pinnacle in Europe. Well, Western States is the pinnacle ultramarathon here in America, and it seems like every year the times get faster, the excitement, the energy at the race just gets bigger, more people.
Better athletes.
And this year really did not disappoint.
Right. The time's going to keep coming down because the thing was very, very competitive, particularly on the men's side.
Yep.
And who was it? Caleb Olson won.
Yep.
But the guy's pretty accomplished on the track. I mean, right, I'm going off of memory here, but I think 351 in the 1500, mid 14, 18, 14,
11,
14, 11,
5K, yep.
28, something or other,
yep.
10K. So, a good runner.
Good runner. And I think we're seeing that more and more, that the ultramarathon world maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Which a bunch of, not hacks, but they're like friends that I drink beer with. I mean,
they were good runners,
but they were, the 228, 232 type of marathoners. And they're doing this 100-miler, and I thought they're goofy as, I thought they're just goofy. But they liked it, and they showed me their belt buckle, and I go, what the hell does that mean? Like, this is 20 years ago.
But now it's like we've got guys with true track pedigree. Yep. We've got guys that are running the marathon. I think our buyer Eric said that there's a couple guys now in that 212, 213 range. So
which is solid.
Very, very serious runners. And Kilian Jornet made his big return to Western States this year, and I mean, he's the greatest of all time in the ultra world.
He was coming hard. He just left a little bit too much at the end.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people thought he would be able to take the win with ease. And early on, it became very apparent that there was a lot of guys in the hunt, a lot of people all together. And you're right, Jornet made a big move around mile 80, but just did, maybe if he had 5-10 more miles, he might have been able to pull it off, but not enough ground.
Some of the stuff that not really concerned, the difference between Western States and UTMB, one is the coverage at Western States. Yep. UTMB, they have 5G coverage around the entire mountain. So you're watching everything, every single thing that's happening.
Right.
In Western States, you don't have that. You have broken coverage, and so you have downtime and things like that. And the other thing is people coming in and just getting in the faces of the athletes, just kind of getting in the way.
It's crazy.
And for some reason, I guess the people in Europe, they come in, but they won't get, some of the people would just have their cameras right in these athletes' faces and running alongside them. And you go, you're going to trip this person.
That was the first thing I thought of. I mean, we've seen stuff, like Tour de France. The fans get up close,
but there's an alleyway to go through. And here it's like they're all surrounding. It's like an AYSO soccer game, right? The athlete's the ball, and all the kids are all around them.
And it's only a matter of time bbefore an athlete goes
hurt.
Down and they make some new rules. But it is a little chaotic.
Right. I understand the traditions and stuff and how everything's progressed over the years. Yeah. But sometimes you just got to go, well, I don't think they let people down to the creek crossing now.
Right.
Because everyone's just getting in the way.
Right.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's about the athletes, and, you can't be, getting in their way. And also, I think the one thing with, when we talk about coverage, you look back 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I mean, there was virtually no coverage. And so while it's still a little spotty at Western States, man, I think this year when I watched the stream, for the most part, it was the best stream I've ever seen. Yeah. So they're getting better. They're getting more satellite coverage, and it's only going to keep getting better as the years go on.
I went 12 years ago with Joe Vigil and some other friends.
Yep.
And there wasn't TV coverage. It's like there's some people on the track, but it wasn't like a big deal.
Yeah.
Not like when I was watching it on, I go, holy moly, that thing's crazy now.
Yeah.
Like there's no way I would go to that thing.
Yeah.
Too many people.
Well,
I hate humans.
I know. I do. I know that. Well, the men's race, obviously fantastic competition. Women's race was solid as well, but the women's race was missing one key competitor.
Right.
The competitor who really could have been right up there with the men as well, and that was Courtney Dauwalter.
She's very good at eating nachos.
She is.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it yet, we just had her here in the building, had some really fun content. And yeah, she is probably the one person who can out-eat me in nachos.
Yes. I guess the cool thing about her is she doesn't really care about what she's eating. She just enjoys eating what she wants to eat, and that's good.
And it's working.
It's working. Yeah. don't shake things up if you don't have to.
Yeah.
This past weekend, I was at down at UCLA.
Okay.
And I'm part of the USATF Foundation, which is an organization. We give grants to track and field athletes that are out of college to keep them in the sport and encourage them to keep doing good things. Well, the foundation meeting was supposed to be held in conjunction with the Grand Slam meet, which got canceled.
Oof. Tough blow to Michael Johnson.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting because you get a lot of perspective, and you have a lot of really I get people high up in an organization that know more than I do,
right,
that are making presentations and so forth. But one of the fun things is like some of the athletes are there. Mm-hmm. So Raven Rogers 800-meter runner.
Yep.
She's running Prefontaine this weekend, one of the top 8 there. I'm talking to her, and I said, where are you training? And she says, I'm training here. And I think she said Joanna Hayes is her coach, the coach at UCLA or USC. And I said, really, where do you do your long run? She goes, right out there. And I go, where? She goes, the fitness fields, the soccer fields over here. And I go, how far do you run? She goes, well, I run with my dog. I said, what's your long run? She goes, well, I've done 40 minutes. I go, that's your long run? She goes, yeah, that's. And I go, you don't do like hour and a half? She goes, oh, no, that's Sinclair Johnson, her old teammate. Sinclair does that stuff. I don't do that stuff. So it was pretty funny.
800-meter runners are a whole nother breed.
A whole different breed, because I saw Donovan Brazier, who's running lights out right now.
We thought it was maybe the end.
I saw him at the New Balance meet in February. February. This is February. Wait, what are we at now? July?
Yeah.
The guy was telling me, and I think he was truthful. I said, are you running? He said, no. I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm living in Florida fishing. So to go from that to 143 in like 2 months?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, when we talked with Craig Angles, about a year ago, he'd said that Donovan Brazier is one of the most talented athletes he'd ever ran with.
Yeah.
We've seen him out on the track do some pretty crazy stuff. I would never count that guy out.
No, he's not a great golfer, but he's a very good runner. So some of the people that made a presentation were a teamwork of Bob Briscoe and Jesse Williams.
Okay.
And Jesse Williams, a lot of people might recognize. He's in charge of sound running, which puts on the 10. And they have the Track Fest in L.A. in 2 weeks.
Right.
Bob Briscoe is the guy behind WebMD and Cars Direct and a few other websites like that.
He's the business guy.
He's a business guy, but he loves track and field, and he put on the L.A. Grand Prix the last couple of years, which got knocked off the schedule because Grand Slam took his date. And we were there, and they were outlining some of the stuff. First thing they were outlining is this new idea where, I don't know why it's taken so long, that all of the players that matter in putting on track meets and agents are all on the same page, including USATF, behind a cohesive U.S.-based track schedule for post-collegiate athletes.
Right.
One where everyone's on the same page, no one's putting meets on top of each other. There's a cohesive season, because if you look at all the top track meets on the planet, there's only one in the United States. That's Prefontaine. So all of our athletes have to go overseas to compete.
Yeah.
Why not come up with a schedule here? So, so they're all working together, which is super exciting. I mean, we're talking the top agents, like Meb's brother, like Paul Doyle, like Mark Wetmore, the agent. We're talking about the meet directors, like John Capriati for Prefontaine, Bob. You're talking Jesse Williams. You're talking Paul Doyle. He's an agent, and so forth. And a lot of these agents put on track meets to highlight their athletes, but also to highlight the fact that they're an agent, and for the kids that are in college, so that they can pick up new athletes and stuff like that. So Paul organized a lot of the sprint hurdle stuff down in Atlanta. And then, So anyways, it was really exciting. And the fact that Willie Banks was in the meeting, and he works for USATF and World Athletics, and he said, yes, we are behind this. And for the first time ever, Jesse said that he's cautiously optimistic that there's been a regime change, that they're working with him, and in fact, his meet next weekend actually has the backing of USATF. In the past, when he's put on a meet, USATF have come in and put in a meet on their own on the same weekend, overlapping.
It's good because it's going to help everyone. It's going to help the meets. It's going to help the fans, because we all want the top athletes to all be at one place at one time. We want people to be able to plan their schedules and have the best competition. And when you have, 2 high-profile meets on the same weekend,
what's going on?
Yeah.
But there's also some stuff working in conjunction. So John Kolich, who funded like the USC track, he's putting on a throws invitational on the Friday before Jesse's race in Wilmington, which is down in Los Angeles. So he's got prize money. He's got all the, I think he said 5,000 for first, 3,000 for second, 1,000 for third, and stuff like the hammer throw. Hammer throw, javelin, discus, and shot put.
Wow.
So if you had that on Friday, and then you come back with Jesse's distance-based meet on Saturday, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you just go check out both those things on the same weekend.
Right.
And Jesse was mentioning that all of his races are in Los Angeles, and a lot of people are pointing towards Los Angeles because what happens in 28? The Olympics are in Los Angeles.
Right.
So a lot of focus on Los Angeles and things like that. So it was really exciting. Then they addressed the Grand Slam and some of the shortcomings, and they mentioned that as of last weekend, Grand Slam canceled everything, but I don't know how accurate this is, but for the athletes that competed, the only ones that got paid were in the first meet, and they got 40 cents on the dollar. No one's gotten paid for the second and third meet. And I know that at UCLA, where they're supposed to have the Grand Slam meet, none of the bills were paid. So the hotel where we're staying at, those rooms that were reserved weren't paid. Yeah. Hospitality wasn't paid. The track wasn't paid. So it's going to be really hard for Grand Slam to continue next year because you have a lot of outstanding bills. Plus, if you don't pay the athletes, your credibility with that group, which you kind of need, is gone.
100%. I mean, a lot of these athletes made some serious money, the most serious money they've ever made in their life. Right. And if they don't get that, it's going to be, I mean, it's basically game over for Grand Slam. And it's unfortunate because there was a lot of really good things. There were some parts that I felt needed improvement. But, I mean, when I look at the positives, we had a really unique setup. You know, they had this kind of like building competition, building rivalries. They had some really cool visuals, you know, with the drones going through the crowd and some really awesome.
They had way too much downtime between events.
So then we go to the negatives.
Yeah, and then too many days in between stuff.
Too many days.
And I mean, the proven concept is like, I'm going to Prefontaine this weekend.
Right.
That thing is sold out.
Yes.
That 2-hour window is going to be nuts.
Right.
Absolutely nuts. I mean, it's going to be crazy.
And that was the Grand Slam. The last Grand Slam was finally moving in the right direction, but they never had quite that energy in the stadium that you really, you know, when you go to pre, it's you hear the roaring, and I just didn't quite, especially, I mean, the first one in Jamaica was, I mean, we can be honest, it was a complete letdown in terms of like crowd and excitement.
Right. And in my understanding, the tickets were too expensive.
Yeah.
And then Miami, the people I know that went to Miami they said it was like a high school all-comers meet.
Yeah.
The way that was set up. So it really wasn't professional. And in hindsight, I mean, if it was me, I would have just had one meet to start.
Right.
Proof of concept.
Go big.
Yeah. And then do it like in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And then say, look, this works. Next year we're coming back with two. But everyone I talked to in the room, the Grand Slam people were their own island. Yeah. They had no interest in working with anybody. The governing body, the other meet directors that were offering help and advice, and nope, we got it figured out. But they don't have it figured out because one of their major backers pulled out after the first meet once they saw the results of the first meet. Wow. And so, you know, We'll see. We'll see if it continues. But, you know, and I even, when I heard the whole concept in the beginning, I was skeptical if the top athletes were going to want to double several times throughout the season. You know, really the only incentive to do it is money. And if you don't get paid, it's kind of difficult.
It's, we'll see.
Something else that was brought up was by Willie Banks. And for those that are geeking out about the sport, the World Championships that is part of the World Championship, the World Championships marathon, the marathon that's part of the World Championships, World Track and Field, has never really gained traction.
Right.
Like Kipchoge's never run that. Most of the top runners don't do the World Championships marathon at the World Championships. So what they're going to do, and I don't know which year this is, probably not 28 because you have the Olympic marathon, probably in 27, I forget what Willie said, but have a standalone World Championships, its own event. Away from the track championship. So I don't know what the date is, but it's going to be its own standalone event, which I think is a good idea. So it's going to be this own, I guess, world major, that sort of thing.
It makes sense because it always seemed like the marathon at the track events was like an afterthought. Like people don't really show up to it. It's more like, okay, I guess I have nothing to do this morning. I'll go over. But it really does deserve its own event and its own, you know, hype around it.
Yeah, and so I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
So the last thing that was brought up was by Vin Lanana. And one of the issues that we talk about is the fact that, the sports that are going to survive, the NCAA sports that are going to survive, have media deals. Big media deals.
Oh, yeah.
And AD is going to look at the sports that have media deals versus the sports that don't. The ones that do, basketball, football. The ones that don't, track and field, wrestling, tennis, volleyball, etc. So swimming, and we already saw that at Cal Poly. They cut the swimming program.
Yeah. And I mean, track and field programs across the country are getting slashed over.
Like Washington State is only distance.
Yeah.
There's no more field events. There's no more sprinting. There's no more hurdling. So how do you prevent that from happening? So first thing is, how do you get track and field to be something that ESPN wants to put some serious money behind? Because if track and field has a media deal behind it, they're less likely to get canned. And well, I'll take it a step further a little bit later. But what Coach Lanana brought up is that the current NCAA championship is an individual championship that has a team component to it.
Right.
And he brought up that New Mexico got sixth in the team championship with 3 10,000-meter runners. That happened on the first night. So you have no idea why New Mexico is on this list for the team title.
It's just way too heavily skewed for if you just have a couple standout athletes.
Right. And so the concept is you continue having that individual national championship where you have the top athletes from around the United States that qualify and run against each other for individual titles. 2 weeks later, you have a team competition where you bring the top 16 teams, so complete teams, and they compete against each other for a national team title. So what does that mean? That means someone like, say I'm a steeplechaser, and I'm a pretty decent steeplechaser, and I run for Cal Poly. I'm good, but not good enough to make it to nationals. But I won the conference title. I can compete. I can score points at the nationals. So I go and run nationals if Cal Poly gets picked. Right? And same thing with the javelin and same thing with pole vault. So it's this whole, you're building like a conference championship type team. And in fact, that's what Lanana said. Coach Lanana said, look, it's going to be like the SEC, the Big Ten, they're going to get one guaranteed team each, one or two. Then the rest of it, there's 22 other conferences in the United States. Your team has to win the conference championship. And then between that, there's already a power ranking. You go through and you pick the top teams. Mm-hmm. So it's the top 16 teams that go and can compete against each other. And so, like, I follow track and field, but I don't know the individual athletes. Right. But I know, I mean, if I was a Cal Poly fan and we had a Cal Poly team, I'd be rooting for Cal Poly.
Right.
Like, I don't know, I don't follow football, but, you know, whoever team I pick, could be Boston College, I'm just rooting for Boston College.
Right.
So back in the 60s and 70s, when track and field was really a big deal, there was things like dual meets, San Jose State versus Oregon, and that was a big deal. And then you had other things like USA versus USSR. So that whole concept was happening then. So when Coach Lanana brought that up, I go, that makes a lot of sense, because then you're rooting for the teams that you like or rooting against the teams that you don't like. So from this one meeting, I got the first time I felt positive about the future of track and field in a very long time. This is all stuff that makes sense. It's doable.
Yeah.
And you can sell it. And it just like all these things came together in one meeting. You're probably going to hear it here first because it's not published anywhere. And it's really pretty awesome.
Wow.
Like fantastic stuff.
Moving in the right direction for sure.
And the meets, I should mention, the meets as part of that summer series are all profitable right now. They don't make a lot of money, but they're over break even.
Yeah.
And apparently Diamond League is break even.
Wow.
And a lot of them, like the ones in China, are funded by the government.
Wow.
Which is how they happen. Yeah. So a lot of the governments come in and help the meet. But as far as just, you know, with like a business, it's not really profitable. But these meets, like Jesse's meet, the 10, makes money.
Right.
And his meet next weekend will make money.
Wow.
He said his men's 800 final should be as good as the Olympic 800 final. And he's having at Oxy, he finally found a college track that's nice, set up, that will allow him to sell beer. Now that sounds like, okay, why do you have to sell beer? It's not that. It's just that you have everything a normal sporting event has.
Right.
And I think part of it is if you buy a ticket, you get if you're over 21, you get a beer as part of your thing if you want it.
Yeah.
But he's having it at Oxy. Oxy's an awesome stadium, and they've upgraded it. So now you don't have the bushes and everything. It's really well done where they have these columns, Roman columns with plants growing on them, and you can look through and see the aquatic center. And he said that after the meet, they're having a pool party for the athletes at the aquatic center. So pretty fun, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to have 3,000 people there, sold out. Should be pretty fun. So all this stuff is really exciting. Like you can actually look at a meet and go, I can buy a ticket, I can bring my kid, and we can have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that bought tickets for a Grand Slam. In fact, Jen, who's the head coach at Morro Bay High, she just found out last week that, the meet was canceled. Like, they didn't let people know until like a week before. So you have these people with all their travel plans, and they just find out that the meet was canceled. So that was, I don't know. It was poor form all around in that thing. So where are we going from here?
I mean, I think we gotta have Joe answers the internet.
Oh, I keep talking a lot here. On the ever popular Let's Run message boards, a couple of training questions. So we're using this as a platform to talk a little bit about training. So the first question by mid-17 is, quotes, is running mile or 5K pace the fastest way to improve lactate threshold? Then the second one is an 8:30 easy pace too slow for a 16-minute 5K runner. I'm 19 years old and have run consistently for about 5 years. I have just recently got more focused into heart rate and then realized that my zone 2 easy pace is in the 8:40 to 8:15 range. Okay, so let's talk about this zone 2 thing and a variety of other things.
Okay.
So to address basically how I look at this, and I'm not an expert on this, but basically we're talking about running. It can go anywhere from easy to a little steady run. Like, okay, if I was running 218, my zone, I wouldn't go off a heart rate. It would be like on the slow end, maybe 7-minute pace, and on the fast end, maybe 5:30 pace, depending on how I felt.
Yeah.
Some days I'm just dragging and I'm running 7-minute pace, and some days I feel great.
Yeah.
I'm running 5:30 pace. I think that the key is a friend of mine, Bob Larson. You know Bob Larson.
Oh, yeah.
The Hummel Toads.
Legend.
Meb's coach, one of the godfathers of American distance running. When asked, what is a tempo run? He said, it is a run where you can talk, but you don't want to.
Right.
My definition of a zone 2, 1 and 2 is you can talk.
Yeah.
Now you get to the point where you might need to take a small break to continue the conversation, but that's basically it. It's conversational pace.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range. So it's going to be this huge wide thing. If you're Scott Bouse, when he was really fit, it could go anywhere from 10-minute pace all the way down to 5:10 pace. Somewhere in that range.
Right.
Right? Then the next stage, and the other thing, what I'm trying to get at is running is a continuum. Yeah. It's not like this is your zone 2.
Yeah.
And it has these barriers on it. It's all a continuum. It's just everything bleeds into everything else. And so the first question of, is running mile or 5K pace the way to improve lactate threshold? No, but it's a way to race faster. Yeah. Lactate threshold, so this is zone 2 or whatever, running is down here. Then you start doing threshold work here. Then you do VO2 max here. And then you do really fast stuff up here. So if you do a mile, which is up here, and 5K pace, which is here, right? It's a pyramid. This is how it works. Right. So if all you do is these double thresholds and threshold work, and that's it, even the Ingebrigtsen guy, that's not all he does. Right. He does more race-specific stuff. It's a foundation. That's all this double threshold thing is. It's a huge amount of aerobic running.
Right.
I mean, if you're doing a double threshold thing, you should be able to talk.
Right.
If you can't talk and your hands are on your knees after the workout, it's way too fast. That's not the purpose of the workout.
Right.
So, running on a competitive level means running everything from super fast to super slow and everything in between. You just change the emphasis throughout the year.
Yeah. And I mean, right now I'm finally getting into decent shape, probably in, my guess would be high 15-minute 5K shape. Mm-hmm. And look, there's days that I'm actually fairly regularly, I go 8:30, sometimes 9, sometimes after a hard workout, 10-minute pace for a couple miles while your body's loosened up, totally normal. And that's the thing, like, I think people get so worked up with heart rates, and it's a great metric to have. Especially like when you wake up in the morning, you check your resting. Sometimes that can show, maybe something's a little off today. Maybe I need to go a little easier. But I've had friends, low 14, mid 14-minute 5K guys, that on their easy runs, their normal heart rate's actually very high. So everyone's a little bit different. Some people tend to run a little low. Some people run a little hot. It's kind of just understanding your own body and going from there.
And that's the difference between Igloy, who invented this stuff back in the 30s, this double threshold thing, mm-hmm. and Ingebrigtsen. Ingebrigtsen uses a lactate monitor. Now, the thing is that they're pretty inaccurate.
Oh, really?
Right. And same thing with heart rate. The reason it's inaccurate is your body changes. Right. And so you can be dehydrated. You have an elevated heart rate. Yep. There's a variety of different things. So if you go by feel, which is what Eagle Eye did, understanding how your body works, there's something to be said about that. And so like at practice, people say, how fast do you want this run? I don't know, 5:10, 5:30 pace. Well, that's a pretty wide swing, right?
Right.
Well, maybe start at 5:30 and it feels pretty easy, pick it up. But, I kind of use the thing is this isn't a hands on the hips kind of workout.
Right.
You should be able to get done. And then I say, hey, go do another 1.5 miles at this pace. Sure. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
But if you're getting done your hands on your hips, and if you have your hands on your knees, that's what, you're done for the day.
Yep.
That sort of thing. So it's all a continuum. And so the first guy, I guess is a guy, mid-17 person, asking is running mile or 5K pace the fastest way to improve lactate threshold. No, it's just a faster way to run faster. Yeah. Just you should do that. And you should do some stuff at 800 meter race pace and 400 meter race pace. And stuff that's slower than lactate threshold. Just you do all of it.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Right.
You just run.
I get it.
It ain't that hard.
I mean, I even noticed that this past fall when we were doing a lot of stuff in the summer that was a lot of tempo work, nothing really much faster than 5:30 mile pace. And once you started introducing the stuff closer to 5 minute, maybe even going a little under 5 minute, then all of a sudden, like my fitness did start to kind of get that next level, but you had that base from the summer. So it's like you said, it's all needed. It's not just one or the other.
No, and the other thing too is you imagine having years of uninterrupted training like this.
Yeah.
And that's what Silas, the baby jogger guy, has. He had 5 or 6 years running with us without being injured.
Right.
And it just builds and builds and builds, and it's called resilience. I mean, that's the fourth component of distance running. So as you get older and keep doing this stuff, you just get better at it. Your body gets better at it, and you're just a better runner.
Yeah.
Another thing that kind of goes along with what we're talking about here, off the Let's Run message board is who should host NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championship? Eugene sucks. From Too Old for This. Okay, there's a lot to like about Oregon track facility, but the cost of attending the meet is ridiculous, and getting there is equally ridiculous. The other thread is talking about the expense of hosting meets in Eugene. Let's talk solutions. Okay, it's in Oregon for the next 3 years. So he starts throwing out tracks like Texas, like Fayetteville, like Oklahoma, Midwest, Nashville, Indianapolis, so forth, which is all fine except a couple things. One is weather.
Yeah.
Weather's a big deal. Like I've been to Des Moines. I've been to pretty much every national championship, I think, since 1986.
Yeah.
And when it's in Des Moines, there's no one there.
Yeah.
And it is hot and it's humid. And people keep bringing up Sacramento. Well, Sacramento's great in the fall. Yep. Sacramento in the summer is brutal. And that stadium, the sight lines are horrible because it's a football stadium. And so it's very horizontal. So you can't see over the people in front of you. Mm-hmm. And, the last time we were there for the Olympic trials, when people stood up, they were escorted out of the stadium. Does that sound like a fun adventure? No, it's not. And the seats are aluminum, so they reflect the heat off. So it is absolutely scorching hot out there.
Right.
Really, really uncomfortable. So really based on the weather thing, and this is off the NCAA, if we go back to what Coach Lanana was talking about, this would be for the individual championship, which you wouldn't want it at altitude because it's at a disadvantage for distance runners. You wouldn't want it overly hot. You wouldn't want it overly cold, right? The heat's fine for sprinters and throwers and so forth, but it's not for distance runners. So you're making a lot of concessions for the distance runners. Yeah. So basically you have, they're bringing up all these things where it should be. Sharof adds Tad Gormley in New Orleans and Kezar in San Francisco as options. Well, Tad Gormley is condemned. They had the Olympic trials in 92 there. I was there.
Yeah.
Awesome. That is under weeds right now. So no, Tad Gormley is not an option. Kezar is a great place to work out. Every high school in San Francisco works out in there. Couple things. It's windy. There's only one jump runway. There's not a warm-up track. There's not any like javelin runway. You don't have pole vault. There's nothing. It's a community workout track, which is completely crowded. So that doesn't work. And the ever insightful KVOTHE, whatever, Kate Voth or whatever, he lists Edwards Stadium, which is UC Berkeley. Yep. That's been condemned since 2016.
Oh, wow.
For earthquake, it needs to be retrofitted. So that's not useful. And then San Diego State.
Yeah.
Okay, well, San Diego State's on top of a parking structure. So there's anyways, the point is, in all reality, in California and in Oregon and in Washington, there's 2 places you can hold this meet.
Right.
Mount Sac and Eugene, Hayward Field. That is it. Those are your options. Now, if we go to this team championship where, okay, you're not looking at times, so you have someone like Ethan Strand who runs in the first meet, the individual, he gets second to 1,500. Then Milt has him come back 2 weeks later for the team title and says, you're tripling. So you're not necessarily concerned about the time, you're concerned about racing. Yeah. So then you can go to something like a Texas. Then you can go somewhere like a Des Moines. Then you go to something like that where the weather isn't as big a factor because you're not looking at actual times and individual performances. You're looking at team performances. So you got to suck it up. So the team aspect is really exciting from the standpoint of Penn relays. I mean, these kids get so worked up about running Penn relays, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Villanova, NC State, everyone, the kids just love it, and the fans love it. I think it's the most attended track meet in the U.S. is Penn relays. And I am planning on going to it next year because I've never been. I watched it on TV, but it sounds like it's pretty good too.
Yeah.
There we have it.
All right.
So what do you got? You got some shoe talk.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Enough of this track and field stupid stuff. Yeah.
The people are here for the shoes. Yeah. And, right now, July, August, kind of moving, we've got so many amazing releases. And just this week alone, first up, we got the Adidas Prime X3 Strung. And this kind of snuck up on me because I knew it was coming. I got this pair, but this is taking like an awesome concept. This was really the crazy shoe from Adidas, multiple plates, ultra high stack height, really the shoe that the original one.
Yeah, it was its original Super Trainer.
And it got famous because one of the Adidas athletes actually wore it at the Vienna Marathon and got banned because it's an illegal shoe. So now we're on version 3, and I think it takes a lot of elements from version 1, version 2, and just makes it the best yet. So just getting it on foot, first try on, it is extremely bouncy. Prime X is always known for bouncy, but they've taken it to another level. It's got carbon plate, rods, even more Light Strike Pro underfoot, 50 mils. And I just think that this is taking that Super Trainer category up a notch. I've always liked this shoe. We have a lot of people in the building who like it. And this is by far now like the best Prime X and one that I would bring out for a pretty wide variety of training. Really, the only negative is, yes, it still is a little bit heavier than its racing counterparts, but it comes at the advantage of, way higher cushion, way wider bases, and something that you could use if you want to for daily training, and it'll feel good.
That was always the knock in the first one, was it's very, very unstable. I don't know if that one's better.
Yeah, and I think when they moved on from the first version to the strung version, the strung upper really encapsulates your foot and keeps it locked in place. So it got better, and then with version 2, it got even better. But yeah, now it's a really comfortable shoe, really locked in, and for how much stack is underfoot, I'm very surprised at how stable it is. But I think the big thing with this shoe is just the bounciness. Like it literally feels like you have a spring under your foot. And I've ran some easier runs. I've ran some moderate. I haven't done anything super fast in it, but it's just one of those shoes that, like, you can't help but just bring it out when you want to have a fun, efficient day out on the roads.
It's cool. And the other thing, just in terms of footwear development, it's usually on the third version that you start seeing things come through. Because when you make the first version, it's the first version, and you're already almost done. When the first version comes out, you're almost all done with the second version. So that one's baked. So it isn't until the third one that you can make changes from the first one, significant changes, and have them show up on the third one. And I think that's an example of that. That's the best version of that shoe yet. What else do you got there?
So we've also got Metaspeed I got to do a double take.
I know.
Sky and Edge. And
I wish, I mean, I love those guys, but make them look different. I mean, I can't tell the difference. I don't know what the hell's going on.
This is really the only way you can tell the difference.
A different colored outsole?
Different colored outsole, but when you look at it from the side,
they look the same.
They look virtually identical.
Right. But if you're really geeking out, you can see where the plate is.
Yes.
So that's a different plate than this one.
And you can actually see, so this utilizes ASIC's new foam compound, Flight Foam Leap. So this is going to have, the Sky actually has, I believe, yes. So Sky is a bottom layer of Flight Foam Leap, their new ultralight, ultra bouncy, and then the top layer is going to be a Flight Foam Turbo, and then you get it reversed on the Edge. And I think I have that right. It's so hard to keep up with these.
They're just different.
Yeah, let me double check that. So Edge is going to be Leap top layer and then a Turbo Plus bottom layer, and then it gets reversed in the Sky. And, both of these shoes are just really taking the weights down another notch. I mean,
things. I thought that thing was the Ray, but it's not.
No,
it's super light.
So that's another good point. So these aren't even the top tier ASIC shoes. There's another shoe coming out, the Metaspeed Ray, which is going to be when
4
you're
ounces?
looking. It's from what I've heard, in the mid 4 ounce range. So if you're looking for the lightest, most pinnacle product, something that's going to live right up with shoes like the Evo 2, and but these are both coming in about 5.6 ounces.
They're incredibly light.
So for a full max stack shoe, I believe these are coming in right around $275. I mean, you're just getting fantastic value, and this is going to be probably the shoe, if you're not going for like the pinnacle Evo or Ray, this might just be the best shoe on the market at the price point.
It's fantastic. It is an awesome shoe.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have to try both. So I've tried the Sky. You can see a little bit of wear on this one so far. Really, really like it, and I tried this one first because I figured this was going to be more in my wheelhouse. But Edge, I'm looking forward to trying, and I'm not going to count it out yet. And from what I've heard from athletes who've ran in both, is you really have to put them both on and see which one works with their stride better. People are going to be efficient with different setups depending on their stride length, their cadence. But both really good options, and it just shows ASICS is not messing around this year.
No, and you have the samples of the upcoming Mizuno flats.
Correct.
Which are very good, too.
Yes, we can't talk too much on that, but what I can say is there'll be 3 new racers that are really shaking things up, and we saw big things with the Rebellion Pro the last couple years, some really radical geometries. These are taking a little bit different approach, but I think people are really going to like them, and just in my initial testing, I mean, Mizuno is going to surprise some people from weights, bounciness of the foams, and really just doing cool things. And I like that. I like brands that
are shaking things up,
are doing cool things in the race space.
So, you have any more shoes that?
No, I mean, these are the big ones. Probably the only other ones we can mention are Rocket X3 just came out. So Rocket X3 is the latest iteration of the Rocket X. And I think Rocket X, for the longest time, was the shoe that every Hoka athlete was wearing, was racing in, because the CLOX on launch just didn't quite live up to the racing title. It was a super trainer. Then when CLOX 2.0 came out, then people started realizing, oh, the CLOX is a good shoe. So they really live side by side. Now with Rocket X3, a great shoe, my initial feel of it is it's good. It almost kind of reminds me of a shoe like the Endorphin Pro, where it's a really good shoe. I think a lot of people will like it. It's very democratic. It's something that a 4-hour runner could use. It's something a 2.5-hour marathon runner could use. But I think there are going to be a lot of people on the top end of the spectrum, the true elites, that are now going to lean a little bit more towards shoes like the CLOX.
And that's what Hoka mentioned, is that they're flipping that.
Yes.
Is that the CLO will become their pinnacle racing shoe. The Rocket will gear more towards faster paced stuff.
You know, anyone looking for, whether it's fast workouts, racing, really for just a broader spectrum of runners, whereas the CLOX, not going to be as stable. It's going to be really geared towards that pinnacle athlete.
Yeah. I had lunch, again, one of my infamous lunches down in Santa Barbara, And we talk about a variety of different things. But one of the things was I started talking with Jean-Luc about, he's really big on making prototypes.
Yes.
So he's always bringing cool things to our lunch, and he just makes shoes.
Yes.
And so I asked him about his process. And what he does is he defines a category of shoe, whatever that category may be, and what are the top models in that category, and what is the benchmark? What is the model that is the pinnacle of that category?
Yeah. And this is things that Hoka's been doing since the early days.
Yeah, that's what he's always done. And so what he does is, okay, what are the attributes that I want that are going to compete with this shoe? So it's very specific. It's like the weight. It needs to be under 7 ounces. It needs to have a plate. It needs to have a 50 mil stack. It needs to run, as far as the cushioning and the rebound, like a Neo Vista. It needs to have the rocker of this shoe. All these very, very specific things. Then he'll go and make it. And then what he does, surprise, surprise, he actually goes and runs in it compared to the benchmark. Is it a better shoe than the benchmark? So he gave me a shoe, prototype, that is, he first produced it 2 years ago. I don't have a 2-year-old shoe, but I have it. And I'm currently running in, let's see, I have a variety of different shoes. I have the Glycerin Max. I have the Vomero. I have the Neo Vista. I have the Bondi 9. I have, what else do I have? I have something else. I have Skyward X, and the prototype that he gave me, which is, I want to say it's right around 8 ounces, 50 mil stack, has a plate. It's not even close. The shoe is awesome. Yeah. It's absolutely awesome. And it has the Mets, the width on the bottom of a Bondi. So it's as stable as a Bondi. It's 8 ounces. It has a super foam. It runs just like a Neo Vista. It exists. It's out there. Will it make it to market? Probably not.
And we've seen this quite a few times over the years with Jean-Luc.
And other brands
and
too.
other brands too. And I mean, we work so closely with Jean-Luc that we get these cool things, and sometimes some of that tech that we see in these shoes trickles into the mainstream. And sometimes, you know, it might take a year or two, but that final version does come. And, you know, all I can say is, like, Hoka behind the scenes and Jean-Luc just have some of the craziest ideas. They're not afraid to mess around with the most new innovative foams, really do crazy concepts. And I personally wish some of these concepts came to market a little more often, but I mean, it's fun to test, and I understand kind of both sides, and you got to take in consideration costs and mass market appeal. But I mean, Jean-Luc has proven that pretty much anything he puts his mind to, he makes some pretty rad items.
And what I've noticed is there's basically 2 schools of thought from a brand.
Yeah.
One is where they'll do it like Jean-Luc does, and I think Romeo at Puma does that. I've seen some of his things, and he knows exactly the shoes he's going after and how he's going to attack it. The Fast R3 just didn't happen out of thin air. They know exactly what they're going after and how they're going to get it done. Then you have other models that come out from a product team that it looks like they just slapped everything they could onto the shoe, and you have something that's completely overbuilt, and you look at it and you go, who approved this? Who thought this was a good idea? Because you can't tell me who this was made for. It's just a shoe, and let's just put more crap on it, right? It's not a cohesive package. It's not designed for any specific purpose. It's just a shoe. These are all our technologies. Let's throw it on there. And I mean, there's... I don't know. I look at things like the Glycerin Max, and I think the Glycerin Max is a wonderful shoe. And the first thing I think of is, why isn't the rest of the line as good as that shoe?
Yeah.
You know, and then I look at things like the Endorphin Trainer, and I go, how did this happen? You know, and there's other shoes too, like the Mafate X. Like, what? Oh, come on. What is this? I mean, everyone has a shoe like that. You go, who gave the okay on this thing?
Right. And to your point, when we saw what the Mafate X could have been, it was a completely different shoe than what came to market. And it's unfortunate because the shoe that should have came out was a pretty sweet shoe.
Yeah, it's 50% the weight. So anyways, enough of that. I mean, not bagging on Hoka, not bagging on Saucony, not bagging on everyone else. Everyone has that. There's different things. I mean, we bagged on Asics about, these shoes look the same. They shouldn't look the same. Right. I said the same thing to Puma. I said, I love your shoes, but I can't tell the difference. Same thing with On. I don't know what the hell the difference is between those shoes.
Right.
People like them. They buy them.
Yeah.
And they're, but I can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
And that's the thing which is surprising for Asics, because you can look at their entire line and go, I know that's an Asics, and I know that's a Nova Blast.
Yep.
I know that's a Super Blast.
Yep.
Like, they all have distinct things. And then you get to the racing shoes and they all look the same. You go, I need to have something to discern the difference between these things.
On the positive note of some of those Hoka prototypes, though, we did see the official or unofficial drop of the Rocket X Trail at Western States just recently. And that was an early concept that we saw a while ago. And really, that was a shoe I didn't think was ever going to make it to market. And it is. It's coming.
Yeah. And the one thing, I saw some stats, and a lot of the people at Western States are sponsored. Mm-hmm. But the number one shoe for people that weren't sponsored, the Adidas Ultra Speed.
Yeah.
By far. It wasn't even close. That shoe's fantastic. And I will bag on Adidas for coming out with shoes that all look the same. So it's really hard to tell the difference between an Adios Pro and a Boston and a Evo SL if they're all the same color.
Right.
I bet the only thing you can tell is they tend to put the three stripes. The farther it goes down on the midsole, the faster the shoe. So if you're a geek like us, you kind of get that. But there should be a little bit more difference between the shoes.
Right.
I'm being a little nitpicky there.
Yeah.
But Adidas is doing a good job. Their stuff is really good. And we saw the upcoming Ultra Speed, and it is awesome.
Yes.
It looks so good. Like, it's with jeans and a date shoe, but you can run super fast on the trails in it.
You're right.
And that's good, because right now in the trail segment, our sales are going down significantly because there's not really any excitement in that category.
Right.
There's a couple models. North Face has a couple models. Adidas has a couple models, but like, no one cares. No one cares. It's, they're cutting out SKUs. The excitement that's brought to the road super shoe market isn't transferring over to trail. No one cares, and the sales are following. So it's a sick cycle where no one's buying trail shoes, so we're going to focus less on trail shoes. So no excitement comes to trail. Yeah. Anyways, for whatever that's worth.
Well, what's next for you? I know we still have a pretty exciting summer. I mean, you've traveled a little bit. You went to Flagstaff recently.
I did go to Flagstaff. Well, I can talk just a little bit about the Flagstaff thing. I went with Brian, who's the CEO of North America for Diadora. And I met with Claudio, who's a global CEO. And what they're doing, which is really interesting, is they're opening up a pop-up store, Diadora is, in Flagstaff.
Yes.
So one of their target market is high school and college distance runners, the geeks. Something they have a tagline like something like mileage matters or something along those lines.
But high mileage matters.
Yeah, high mileage matters. So they're actually opening up a pop-up store in Flagstaff for these kids. It's like a place to socialize. You get swag, certain T-shirts that you can only get at the pop-up store, certain models and things like that. So it was pretty fun. So first time I've been to Flagstaff, I couldn't live there because everywhere you go, this sounds like nirvana for a lot of people, but I like to take a break from running. It sounds crazy, but yes, I do like to take a break from running, which is probably why I golf and run alone and all those kinds of things. But everywhere you go, and this was off season, like this. I can imagine during the on season when people are there in force, everywhere you go, it's about distance running. You go to the store, it's distance running. You go to the coffee shop, distance runners. You go to a restaurant, it's distance runners. Distance runners everywhere. Walking up and down the street, it's all distance runners, just distance geeks. And you go, can I just get away from this for a little bit? But that's not the case. But that being said, I am going to the pre-classic this weekend with my daughter.
And by the time this podcast airs, we will already have known the results. But wow, what a field.
Crazy. Yes. And I don't have tickets yet. I've been texting Capriati, which is a little difficult at this point with like 4 days to go to the meet.
Hopefully you'll get your tickets.
I will get my tickets, but he says he's got 12 tickets for me. But he said he had 12 tickets. I don't know if those are my 12 tickets or for other people. And then he says, when do you get there? I said, I get there Friday. And He never told me where to pick up the tickets. I'm sure I'll find it.
Yeah.
But then 2 days later, one of his best friends and the man who recruited me to Cal Poly passed away recently, Steve Miller. And Cap is hosting his celebration of life in Portland 2 days later. So I'll be going to that with some friends, and I'm guessing there'll be a lot of people. I'd be surprised if Phil Knight wasn't there.
Wow.
Steve was also director of the Andre Agassi Foundation. Mm-hmm. So him and Andre and Steffi Graf, I believe, owned 100-plus restaurants in Las Vegas together. So I'd be surprised if Steffi and Andre weren't there. Wow. Should be a who's who of Nike past and present there. But just a little bit of history on Coach Miller. He was at Bloom Township, and they would compete against York High School. And they were the first people to beat York back in the 70s when York was a powerhouse and wasn't beaten. So Leo Lenting, who used to work here, was teammates with John Capriotti and Terry Bauer. And anyway, Steve Miller was a coach there in Illinois, Chicago area. He came out to Cal Poly to coach, and he had people follow him. Capriotti followed him. Leo followed him. Terry Bauer, a few other people. Miller was coach at Cal Poly, won a couple national championships, went to Kansas State, became the head coach there, then became the athletic director at Kansas State, brought in John Capriotti to coach the team. Then Miller went to work at Nike, became head of sports marketing, headed up their sports marketing at the Barcelona Olympics. Before that was in charge of track athletes. When he left the track athletes job, he brought in John Capriotti, who took over that position. Then Miller retired. And my friend Joe Fabris, he had a coworker at Microsoft. When they both cashed out, Joe's buddy at Microsoft tried to make the Pro Bowlers Tour for a number of years, couldn't do it, so he bought it. Now he owns a Pro Bowlers Tour. I think he paid $1 million for it. And he contacted Joe because Joe was head of sales and marketing at Microsoft, and this guy was an engineer, and he knows nothing about sales and marketing. He says, I had this thing, the Pro Bowlers Tour. What do I do with it? He says, Joe said, let me contact my old college coach, Steve Miller, and see if he's interested. So Steve Miller became the president of the Pro Bowlers Tour and got it on ESPN and stuff like this. He did things like he'd say, Connor, you're going to be a bad guy, and Joe, you're going to be a good guy, and you're going to bowl at these locations. And Connor says, I don't want to be a bad guy. And Miller would say, well, I guess you don't want to be a bowler in the Pro Bowlers Tour, do you? So he kind of strong-armed people. But what he got was it became kind of like pro wrestling, and now it's hugely popular. Yeah. And so he was behind that. Then he retired from that, and then became the director for the Andre Agassi Foundation. Yeah. So really influential guy with homes all over the planet, and very, very charismatic gentleman. So doing that on Monday. Wow. And then come back here and get back to work. There we go.
Exciting summer.
Very exciting summer. And then more, travels and things like that.
Yep.
But anyways.
So we'll have some updates for the next episode with some of the excitement of your travel.
We have some guests coming up.
We've got some good guests.
Yes.
I'll be racing my first race in a while.
Yes.
So, yeah, a lot of fun to come.
Can we mention the guests? Should we mention the guests?
I mean, that's your call.
Okay. Well, upcoming, and you need to contact one of these people.
Okay.
We have Julia Stamps, who was in the 90s the top high school runner, female runner, and she went to Stanford, and now her daughter's running track up in Santa Rosa. A lady who works out with us here in San Luis Obispo, Kira Abercrombie. Her maiden name is Jorgensen. In the late 80s, she won Foot Locker Nationals, and she was the top runner. She went to UCLA, which was a powerhouse at the time. Yeah. She is she's a professor of aeronautical engineering at Cal Poly, and her daughters run track. Wow. So it's going to be an interesting conversation of two athletes that were at the top of the game, both Foot Locker National champions, both course record holders wherever they went, went to high-profile programs, and now have kids in high school. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting conversation. Then after that, actually before that, in 2 weeks, we have Lance Harder. Lance Harder, for those that don't know, was the last Division I coach to win the Triple Crown. Yep. So within one school year, the Arkansas Razorbacks won the women's cross-country national title, indoor national title, and outdoor national title. And Lance also used to coach at Cal Poly, and I saw him last summer in the parking lot And I go, Lance, what are you doing here? And he goes, I'm buying sunglasses from you. I go, no, what are you doing here? He goes, I have timeshare out here. And I go, you want to do a podcast? He says, we're leaving tomorrow, but I'll do it next year. So this is next year. So we're going to have Lance Harder here. Then finally, I talked to Jean-Luc while we left lunch 2 weeks ago. And when I drove into the parking lot, I saw an orange McLaren, and I said, I wonder who got a new car. So when I walked in the restaurant, Jean-Luc was waiting for us, and he had an orange wristband on his watch. And I said, oh, does the wristband match your car? And he says, oh, you saw the Great Pumpkin. So there's a brand new McLaren out there. Anyways, I said, we walked out, and I went to listen to his car, and he started it up, and I was hugely disappointed because I was waiting for this enormous roar, and it's a hybrid, and it starts out in electric mode, so it made no sound. So I was disappointed from that. But I said, you want to come up and do a podcast? And he says, look, I had these shoes that, going back to prototypes, he said, I have shoes that I want you to test, you and your team. And I said, what shoes are these? He goes, well, it's my answer to a
wow.
And for those that don't know what a is, it's a on steroids that has a I believe. Doesn't have a
well, allegedly.
Yeah,
I don't know if we can talk about
that. Okay, we can't
exactly.
talk about that. Okay, we can't talk about that. We'll cut that out. But anyways, so what Jean-Luc did was he had these arbitrary things of the same stack, so 50 mil stack.
Yep.
One has a plate, one doesn't. The same with Mets as a Bondi. And his goal weight for both of these shoes was 200 grams, sub 200 grams on the one with the plate, and sub 180 grams on the one without a plate. Mm-hmm. I don't know grams, so I had to look at the internet on how to convert things in my head. So when I'm talking to Jean-Luc and other people from Europe, like Romain from Puma, I know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. 200 is easy. So if you take grams and multiply by 3.5, mm-hmm. you get the ounces. So in this case, 200 grams is 2 mm-hmm. times 3.5 is 7. Mm-hmm. So it is a 7-ounce shoe. And he says it's actually 1 gram less. Oh. So it is a 199 gram training shoe, 50 mil stack, plate, so at 6.9 ounces.
Wow.
Then you take the 180 gram and he says it's 179 grams. But if you multiply that out, that comes to 6.3 ounces.
Wow.
So this racing flat is how much?
5.6.
5.6. So a half ounce heavier for an everyday long distance training shoe at 50 mil stack with a plate. Well, that one doesn't have a plate. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at the Super Blast, it went from 8.8 ounces. Super Blast 3, I think, is 8.3 ounces.
Yeah.
So this one's coming in without a plate at 2 ounces lighter.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I don't even know if it'll make a production, but this stuff is cool.
All three of those, or I guess 4 of those guests are, like you said, from those early days of like Foot Locker, 2 different champions. Very cool. Lance, you're going to get that whole side of the NCAA and what's going on right now with a lot of these world-class athletes coming over from overseas.
NILs and all that kind of stuff.
But I think if you are a true fan of the podcast, a true shoe nerd, the Jean-Luc podcast might be our best one to date.
I mentioned going to Des Moines several years ago. The guy I was sitting next to was just me and him, and this guy Sheldon Blockberger, who was a coach at Cal Poly and the coach of decathlon and heptathlon at USC. We were the only 3 people in the stands. And Lance was telling me about this thing called the portal. And he was explaining to me how that's going to alter significantly college sports. Yeah. And he says, before that really takes hold, I'm going to retire. He says, because this isn't what I bought into, where athletes can decide anytime they want that they're going to leave the school. Yeah. Like right now, it's completely out of hand. We'll have Lance talk about, there's no age limit. The athlete can transfer as many times as they want. So now you have kids that are 5 or 6 different universities, that type of thing. And there's no ramification. They're not obligated to stay at the school. So they can just say, well, I don't like it here right now. I'm going to go to wherever, Peoria, and run for those guys for a year or something like that. So anyways, it'll be interesting stuff.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. Oh, we got to say, what do we got to do?
Oh,
what?
You know what?
What?
You're right.
What?
Well,
what did we do?
I was going to say.
Dude, what do we need to do?
Oh, okay. Well, Joe, that's right. We did have a big announcement that we've been meaning to do. I think we're maybe 2 or 3 podcasts late.
We're just jokers.
But we're going to do it now.
Yeah, we're professionals here.
Better late than never.
Yes.
So we've got the winner to our shoe giveaway contest. It was basically if you commented, liked, subscribed, and sent us a message, we were going to give one random fan a free pair of shoe of their choosing, anything they want on the website. And the winner was 702 Runner on Instagram. That's David Rosas. He's going to get, I don't know.
As long as we have them in stock.
As long as we have them in stock.
Yeah, you can't look and say, like this was prototype. I want that. No.
He can't get the Hoka Proto that you've been wearing.
No, he can't do that. You just got to get what we have on the. But you could get a pretty cool pair of shoes.
Yeah. So David will leave with a pretty sweet pair of shoes, and I think we might need to keep this going. Maybe we'll announce another contest in the near future.
Let's just keep it going because we haven't really done that. I mean, we didn't. Okay, let's for the next one.
Okay, so we're gonna keep this going. If you like, comment, subscribe to the channel.
Do something. I mean, just make us feel warm and welcome. Yeah. Say hi in the comments.
Yeah, maybe leave a crazy comment that might get our attention.
No, don't do that. Just yes, like, comment, subscribe. Do what I don't do on any sort of YouTube thing. I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I never do any of that kind of stuff. But you should.
Yes.
Because we are asking you to.
That's right.
Right. Until next time, I think the next 3 podcasts will have guests on board. Then it'll be on us to try to figure out what to talk about.
That's right.
But by that point, we should have plenty to talk about. Because I've been thinking we should have, national championships are in a month. Yeah. So we'll have that to talk about. And I will be attending that, of course, because that's what I do. I just go to track meets and, do interesting things.
Perfect.
There we have it. Okay, till next time. Thank you.